Hey everybody, Mark Rentz here with the Rentz team in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I have a very special guest with me today. This is Adam Grover. What's up, buddy?
How you
Give
doing?
me a fist knuckle bump, COVID there, right?
Yeah.
Listen, the reason why I'm doing this interview today is because we want to say thank you to all of our veterans who have served across America, but also highlighting a local vet here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So, Adam, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing so good. So we kind of have a very surface level relationship, but it comes because of the church, and we'll talk about it more in a little bit. But a group, a nonprofit called Mighty Oaks that you're involved in.
Absolutely.
So before we get into all of that, but Adam, tell me a little bit about yourself, just kind of where you are right now as far you're married.
I am.
All right, take it away.
I'm married. I have 4 kids.
What are their ages?
I have a 17-year-old daughter.
Okay.
I have a 15-year-old son, a 13-year-old son, and I have an 11-year-old daughter.
Okay, that's awesome. 4 kids?
4 kids.
4 kids. We are fellow dads of 4 children, so I congratulate you on that. Mine are a little bit further along, so I'll keep praying for you as you go through this tough time.
Thank you.
So, your wife as well served in the
She
military.
did. She was a medic.
For what branch?
The U.S. Army.
U.S.
She was
Army.
a U.S. Army medic.
Okay. So real quick, you served in the U.S. Army as well.
Yes.
Right? So take me back to how old were you when you enlisted, and then what made you decide to join the military, Adam?
I was 18. I grew up in a small town.
In Wyoming?
In Wyoming,
Okay.
Rock Springs, Wyoming. And it was always something that kind of just rested on my heart, but it wasn't ever something that I had to do.
Okay.
What
year was it when you
was
joined?
In 1998.
Okay.
I was coming into my senior year, and I just really, I wasn't 100% certain what I wanted to do with my life, and the United States Army was something that had just kind of been knocking on my heart, and so I joined the U.S. Army for the opportunity to serve my country. And
so you enlisted in 1998?
I enlisted in 1998.
Okay. And where did they ship you? I'm just curious.
So when I graduated high school, I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Okay.
And I went through basic training there.
Okay.
And then I went through my advanced training. At the time, I was a tank mechanic in Aberdeen, Maryland.
Okay.
And so I served out my 4-year term in the military. I had the opportunity to serve in Germany. And
where in Germany?
Hanau.
Okay.
Hanau, Germany. It's about 45 minutes from Frankfurt.
Okay.
And then
I've actually been to Germany.
Okay.
I actually spent about 3 weeks there.
It's a great place, isn't it?
It's pretty
Germany's
unique.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It is.
Good sausage.
And yeah, good food.
Spetzel.
And then from there, wound up in Fort Bliss, Texas, and that's actually where I met my wife.
Okay.
And it was right after 9/11, I started to transition out of the military.
Okay.
And I actually received a phone call about a year and a half later saying, look, we need you to either go back active, join the Guard, but we want you in some kind of service to fulfill your inactive time. I joined the National Guard, and from there we deployed to Iraq in 2006.
So we were talking a little bit earlier. So first of all, what was your role in the Army? What did you do?
So as I had 2 different jobs. I was a mechanic, a tank mechanic. I fixed the hydraulics on M1A1 Abrams.
Wow.
And then when I went into the National Guard side, I became an engineer. We got into bridging. So that would be blowing bridges up, building bridges.
Okay.
And we deployed to Iraq, though, in a convoy security job, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
And
you were telling me, so what year was it when you deployed?
we deployed in 2006.
2006. And that was during, you said Operation Surge? Is that what they called it?
It was during the surge. It was,
surge,
It
okay.
was Operation
That's okay.
OIF.
Okay. And you said something that was very interesting to me. You said you were actually there
Mm-hmm.
when something significant happened? What with
I
Saddam?
was actually over there at the time they executed Saddam Hussein.
Yeah.
And it was.
What did that
tense
feel
time.
like?
It was really tense because we were going out on missions, and they had told us, they're executing Saddam. We expect heightened activity during that time.
Okay.
So we were actually on the road as it came across the Blue Force tracker and told us that they had actually carried out the execution of Saddam Hussein.
That's amazing. It's funny because time flies, right? I mean, we all remember 9/11, absolutely, but to look back and it's like, man, that was all the way back in 2006. In some ways, it doesn't seem that long ago, but in other ways, it seems like a lifetime ago.
Right.
And you ended up spending how many months?
About 13 months in Iraq.
Okay. And you had said something to me earlier. You saw about 300, what did you call that?
My unit
Or so.
experienced around 300 significant acts.
Significant acts. And for the civilians out there, that means?
Actual engagements with the enemy, be it IEDs, ambushes,
Combat.
It was all from a truck for me. I ran a 50 cal, and I drove in an up armored Humvee.
Okay. So as somebody serving in the military, for those of us that didn't serve, what does that mean? What does that mean to you to have to have made the choice that I'm gonna, potentially lay my life down? You definitely laid it aside, right? You made it out, but what's the feeling? I mean, or is there? How do you describe looking back on your service? Is there? I don't want to put words in your mouth. Is that something that you look back with honor?
I do. I am proud of that service. It
Yeah.
is. I've done something that was bigger than myself, and that does mean something to me.
Yeah.
Serving other people has always been on my heart.
Yeah.
It's something that I believe the Lord has always laid on my heart.
Yeah.
Is just to serve.
That's awesome. So we talked a little bit more about kind of how things went for you when you returned home. You and your wife made a move to the Oklahoma area. Let me ask you this. So, I told you earlier, even though I've read a lot of books and autobiographies, and I've availed myself to quite a few movies, but really more books, like written by Sean Parnell, Mark, Lone Survivor, the gentleman that wrote that book.
Marcus Luttrell.
Thank you, Luttrell. 13 Hours. Read the biography about the gentleman who actually took the shot that took out bin Laden. I can see his face. His name slips my mind. But how can civilians that have never walked in your shoes best honor our veterans? Because yesterday was Veterans Day. We weren't able to do this yesterday, but what would you say is something that we can do to honor people
I would say
that have served?
I would say honoring the freedom and making those choices in their polling places that support the freedom that the military defends.
Okay.
To me, that would be the greatest. Live your life and support that freedom that we fight to maintain.
Yeah.
That to me would be the greatest thing they can do to honor what we do.
Awesome. So thank you so much for your time. But let me, again, I alluded earlier at the beginning of this interview, Adam, that our connection was originally through an institution called Mighty Oaks.
Mighty Oaks, absolutely.
And Mighty Oaks is a nonprofit that is now has the backing of the U.S. military on many levels, and has helped a lot of vets that have come back with some struggles. So as we close this time, you said something to me when you moved to Tulsa and you went to Triton, thank you. Jiu-Jitsu gym. What's the actual title of Triton?
This is Triton Fight Center. Is what
Triton
they call
Fight
it.
Center in Broken Arrow. Yeah. So there was a couple of people there that spoke to you and said, hey, you need to get
Connected to Mighty Oaks.
connected to Mighty Oaks. And what was your initial reaction?
Pete Wilhelm says,
And who is Pete?
Pete is the owner of the gym,
owner of
the
the
head
gym.
instructor of the gym. He says, even if you think you have your demons under control, I would highly recommend you go to Mighty Oaks. And later on, I met Reed Hasty, who said the same thing to me. Go to Mighty Oaks. And it was one of those things that, being a man, I've got this under control. I've been through X amount of hours of treatment. I've done all this stuff to manage my PTSD. Why do I need one more thing? So I kind of sat on that for a couple months, realizing that I did need something more in my life. I applied and went to Mighty Oaks, and it was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
I had resurrendered my life to the Lord, and the path has been upward since.
Yeah.
Drastically changed my life, gave me a framework to move forward in my life, and it has improved my marriage and my family life. And
Yeah, because you guys were on the rocks.
absolutely.
Besides some of the things you shared with me, without going into depth, you were in a
And
dangerous,
it was in
difficult
a
place.
very
And as
dangerous
Reed and Mighty Oaks likes to say, you were on the X,
Mhm.
right?
Was on the X.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They use that term. It's actually a combat term.
Right.
Get off the X. You know, if you're dealing with an individual one-on-one, and we have that X in between us, I got to get off that X.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in your relationship with the Lord. Get off the X.
Yeah.
You know, get off that X. Get off the.
You're in a dangerous place.
Yes.
And there's nothing worse than being in a dangerous place and not
Absolutely.
having anyone that has your back.
Absolutely.
Bad enough if you're on the X and you've got your brothers or sisters around you, your
Mhm.
comrades, but to be there alone.
Mhm.
And isn't that the danger of any depression, whether you're military or you're not military? We listen to the lie that says nobody cares, no one understands, when in reality you discovered
It's not
people care
Mm-hmm.
and people understand.
Right.
And so for those, and we're about to end this interview, but for those that may be watching, how can, if you're a vet or if you're anyone that needs help
Law enforcement.
Yeah,
we also
first
support the law
responders.
enforcement community.
and you feel like you're on that X or you're discouraged or you're in a dark place, Adam, how can they get help? They can actually call you, right?
If you are a veteran, or if you're a first responder, law enforcement officer, you can contact me directly at 307-371-8612.
Say it again, a little bit slower.
307-371-8612.
And that would ring your cell phone.
That will be my direct number, and I can help them get connected to my
That's right. And in a nutshell, you guys get together once a week.
We get together once a week here at the outpost, and then we actually send them to a 1-week camp, all expenses paid.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, and if you're here and you need help, you have churches that would say, we'll pay all the expenses to get you to that 1 week camp, that intensive time that is intense in a lot of ways, but it's intense in hope.
And hope. And
You
joy.
told me, when you said Mighty Oaks was what? The best
The best decision I ever made for my life.
decision.
To get connected with guys who understood what I had been through, and to just go there and lay it all out. And I felt so much lighter when I came home from California.
Well, I'll tell you another exciting thing that they've recently instituted is the Military Wives support group.
That's over at the Assembly. They have the Military Wives Group.
And you can get them information on that too.
We can
Through Reed.
Through Reed.
Yeah.
It's
Is
not-
if you're a wife and you're watching this and the husband didn't,
yeah, there's support there for them too. And
exactly.
It's
So if
not
they call
appreciated
you-
by Mighty Oaks.
Right.
But it is something that they set up separate.
That's right. But we can get them connected to it. That's the main thing.
We can
All
get
right.
you connected to those resources.
So listen, man, even in the midst of COVID,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Love your heart. Love that you would come in, and thank you for taking the time just to share. And listen, if you're a vet, whether you're male, female, and you've laid aside your life for your country's life, I just want to say thank you. The Rents team wants to say thank you. And if there's ever anything we can do for you outside of real estate, let me know as well. Reach out to Adam. My number's 918-859-5840, 918-859-5840. So thank you, everybody, to all the vets. God bless you, and happy Veterans Day.